Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Dark Paladin deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because Dark Paladin is my favorite fusion monster of all time and one of the coolest monsters summoned in Duel Monsters, which is absolutely insane to build a deck based around this insanely powerful boss monster. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing two copies of the Ultimate Wizard in terms of attack and defense. The Dark Magician. You got to play two copies of this card in the deck so that you can make your copy of Dark Paladin. This card is a great combo piece in this deck. We then play two copies of Buster Blader. Buster Blader is a really good 2-of in this deck as well to be able to make your copy of Dark Paladin with, or even go in for your Buster Blader package that you're playing in this deck to lock down your opponent with Buster Blader the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman plus your Buster Dragon, which is just absolutely crazy how easy it is to lock down your opponent with those cards, but just using basically one trap card. We then play three copies of Magician Souls. Magician Souls is a definite 3-of in this deck to help you make your copy of Dark Magician. And it's just really good in this deck as well because it lets you draw two cards, because you can send up to 2 spells and traps from your hand or field to the graveyard to draw that many cards, which is an insane effect. And if this card is in your hand, you can send a level 6 or higher spellcaster monster from your deck to the grave to be able to special summon this card, or send it to the graveyard to be able to special summon Dark Magician from your graveyard, which is an awesome effect. We then play three copies of Buster Whelp. Buster Whelp is the best normal summon in the entire deck with a crazy powerful effect, and when this card is normal summon, you get to add a Destruction Sword card from your deck to your hand, which is always going to be your copy of Prologue of the Destruction Swordsman, which is an awesome card to be able to start your entire Buster Blader package. We then play three copies of Keeper of Dragon Magic. Keeper of Dragon Magic is a pretty good normal summon in the deck as well, because if this card is normal or special summon, you can discard a card to be able to add a Polymerization normal spell card or a Fusion normal spell card from your deck to your hand, which is great to be able to add cards like Polymerization, Magicalized Fusion, or even Branded Fusion from your deck to your hand just by normal summoning this card. It also has a great effect that you can reveal a Fusion monster in your extra deck, and then when you do, special summon out one of the materials that's listed on it from the graveyard in face down defense position. So you can, for example, reveal a card like Dark Paladin and then special summon out either Buster Blader or Dark Magician to your side of the field in face down defense position, which is an awesome effect to be able to use. But this card does lock you into fusion summoning for the rest of the turn. We then play three copies of King of the Swamp. King of the Swamp is a definite 3-of in this deck because this card is just great to be able to use as a fusion substitute monster in this particular deck to be able to make your copy of Dark Paladin. It also can be sent to the graveyard from your hand to be able to add a Polymerization from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect to be able to use in this deck to be able to make Dark Paladin. We then play two copies of Fallen of Albaz. Fallen of Albaz is great as a 2-of in this particular deck to be able to summon out to your side of the field with your fusion deployment to be able to use like a super polymerization, or you can use this card with Branded Fusion to be able to make powerful cards like Mirror Jade, which is just absolutely insane. This card is a definite 2-of in the deck, but you really don't need 3 copies in this particular build. We then play a single copy of Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. This card is great to lock your opponent out of the extract, and you're always going to equip this card to a Buster Blader monster, and then when this card is equipped to a monster that you control, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from the extract, which is super easy to do in this deck. We then play 2 copies of Illusion of Chaos. This card is great to search out your copy of Dark Magician or Magician Souls, which is an awesome effect to be able to use because you reveal this card in your hand to be able to add Dark Magician or a non-ritual monster that mentions it from your deck to your hand, then place one card from your hand on top of your deck, which is an awesome effect to be able to put cards like Fallen of Albaz or Illusion of Chaos that you don't want in your hand back on top of your deck to be able to grab your copy of Dark Magician or Magician Souls. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Preparation of Rites. Preparation of Rites is a definite 2 of the deck to be able to search out your copy of Illusion of Chaos. We then play a single copy of Magicalized Fusion. Magicalized Fusion is a great one in the deck to be able to basically miracle fusion out a spellcaster fusion monster from your extract by banishing the materials from your field or grave. We then play 3 copies of Polymerization. Polymerization is a great 3 on the deck to help you fusion summon into some extremely powerful fusion monsters like your copies of Dark Paladin. I love this card as a 3 of in the deck. We then play 3 copies of Fusion Deployment. This is one of the best cards in the entire deck because it helps you summon out either Buster Blader, your copy of Dark Magician, or Fallen of Albaz, which is really cool because you can reveal a card like Dark Paladin to special summon that Dark Magician or Buster Blader, or you can reveal something like a Mirror Jade to special summon Fallen of Albaz, and if your opponent has a monster that's special summoned from the extra deck, you can then use Fallen of Albaz's effect to discard a card and fusion summon into Mirror Jade, which is insanely powerful to do just off of basically 1 card. We then play 3 copies of Branded Fusion. Branded Fusion is an awesome 3 in the deck that's searchable off your copy of Keeper of Dragon Magic, and it's a great card to summon out cards like Mirror Jade or even Lubellion, so we can use Lubellion's effect to either summon out Mirror Jade or, depending on what we have in the graveyard, summon out a copy of Dark Paladin, which is just super cool. I love that effect that you can actually use Albion and Lubellion to be able to summon out Dark Paladin off their effects. So, that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Destruction Sword Memories. Destruction Sword Memories is a definite 2 of the deck for its graveyard effect that you can banish this card from your graveyard to fusion summon a Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, from your extract by banishing the fusion materials listed on it from your graveyard, which is a Buster Blader plus any dragon monster that you have, which is really cool to be able to use with this card. We then play 3 copies of Prologue of the Destruction Swordsman. Prologue is a definite 3 of, and a card you always want to see in this deck. It has an awesome fact that you send a Destruction Sword card and a Buster Blader monster from your deck to the graveyard to be able to summon out a Buster Dragon directly from your extract, which is a really good effect to be able to use because you can send your copy of Destruction Sword Memories plus Buster Blader to the graveyard to be able to summon out that copy of your Buster Dragon. Then banish your copy of Destruction Sword Memories plus the Buster Blader you just sent and a dragon monster from your graveyard to summon out your copy of Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, essentially locking down your opponent. We then play 3 copies of Trap Trick. Trap Trick is a definite 3 in the deck because you always want to be able to get to, and I mean always want to be able to get to, Destruction Swordsman. This card is so powerful that you play 3 copies of Trap Trick, the 3 copies of your Buster Whelp, and it's just so good to be able to get to Prologue as fast as possible. You basically play 9 ways to get to it in this deck, and it's so important to get to in this particular build because it's going to basically turn on your entire Buster Blader package so that you can go in for game and lock down your opponent. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Dark Paladin. Dark Paladin is an insane boss monster. This card is insanely powerful in this particular deck because this card is a walking spell negate once per turn by discarding a card from your hand. It is a really awesome effect that basically you can just negate the activation of a spell card by discarding 1 card. This card also retains its Buster Blader effect that the attack of this card is increased by 500 points for each dragon monster on the field and in both players' graveyards, which is insanely powerful in this particular deck, especially with how many dragons we play. This card is hands down my favorite fusion monster in the entire game, and just so cool to make a deck based around this card. We then play 2 copies of Red Eye's Dark Dragoon, which is basically a retrain of Dark Paladin. If you guys didn't know, you can actually look at both of these cards and they're basically a retrain of the original Dark Paladin, which is just so cool. I love that about this card, and it's why I actually love Red Eye's Dark Dragoon so much. I really think this card is awesome. It's a walking negate. It gains 1,000 when it negates something. You can pop cards on the field, equally amount of vanillas that you put into this card, which is always just going to be the copy of Dark Magician, and then you do burn damage to your opponent for the monster that you pop, equal to that of monster's attack points, which is insane about this card. Cannot be targeted by card effects, cannot be destroyed by card effects. It just has so many good effects. This card is one of the most powerful boss monsters ever created, and you definitely play this card as a 2 of because it's really easy to summon, but just using a Dark Magician plus a Dragon effect monster to be able to summon out this card. We then play 2 copies of Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. This card is super easy to put on your side of the field and is insanely powerful because it gains 1,000 attack and defense points for each dragon type monster your opponent controls or in their graveyard, and you change all dragon type monster opponent opponent controls to defense position, and also dragon type monsters that your opponent controls cannot activate their effects. And if this card attacks a defense position monster, it does piercing damage. And with your copy of your Buster Dragon on the field, it actually changes every monster your opponent controls into a dragon monster, so essentially it skill drains your opponent, which is really neat. We then play a single copy of Master of Chaos. Master of Chaos is a definite one in the deck. You're always going to summon out this card with Dark Magician plus Illusion of Chaos as the fusion materials, and if this card is fusion summoned, you can target a light or dark monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and you can tribute a light or dark monster and then banish all monsters that your opponent controls, which is an insane effect to be able to use with this card. We then play 2 copies of Mirror Jade. Mirror Jade is just really good in this deck as a 2-up to be able to deal with your opponent's field and put a really powerful boss monster on the field to back up your copy of Dark Paladin. We then play 2 copies of Albion. Albion's insane in this deck to be able to make, because you can basically use this card like a Miracle Fusion or a Magical Ice Fusion to be able to banish cards from your graveyard to be able to summon out a really powerful fusion monster. You can even use cards from your hand or field to be able to fusion summon a level 8 or lower monster, which is super easy to do in this deck. We then play a single copy of Lubellion. Lubellion lets you discard a card and then put the fusion materials back into the deck and then summon out a really powerful fusion monster, which is really good. We then play 2 copies of Buster Dragon. Buster Dragon is insanely powerful because it turns every monster opponent controls into a dragon monster, which is really good in this deck to be able to use, and it's just an insanely powerful card that you're going to be able to put on the field with your copy of your Buster Blade or the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman to basically skill drain your opponent. We then play a single copy of Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. You guys didn't think I was going to put this deck out without a single Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, did you? Well, Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon basically has the ability that every time your opponent breathes, they're going to take 500 points of damage. This card is insane in the deck and just absolutely crazy in this particular build. We don't play Red Eyes in the main deck anymore, but it's still a really awesome card to make in the deck with just 2 level 7s to close out games. So, that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have not played a Dark Paladin deck before, you definitely should give this deck a try. It's super fun to be able to make Dark Paladin in this particular build, and it's very easy to pull off. And it's just a super cool boss monster, especially with it being a walking spell negate and it getting absolutely massive. So, anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell next so you can come for our notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.